everybody. Welcome back to VCTV, the Venture Capital TV from LATOKEN. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the host and moderator of today's session. And today we're going to cover a very, very interesting topic. And we have a founder who is ready to share his project today with the viewers. So it's about investments in blockchain, DeFi, finance, financial services, and banking. So let's have a quick round of introduction of this about the speakers of the show today. And here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you're dialing in from. So, I basically have replaced Kylie for the show. Let's have a quick round of intro. Let's start with Thomas. Thomas, hi, where are you dialing in from?
I'm dialing in from Denmark, Scandinavia. I'm a business series entrepreneur. I have been developing businesses for 24 years, done a couple of exits. I have tried to lose a lot of money as well. Right now, I'm the founder and CEO of a 365 agency, which is helping business entrepreneurs getting funded. And then I am deeply involved with Microtail, which is a pure blockchain company.
Oh, wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Thomas, and welcome to VCTV. Good to have you here on the show today. Okay, I'm going to put myself on mute. Okay, next I have David. Hi, David. Good to see you. Good morning. I really like your background. You're just outside.
Yes, good morning, Sunny. Good morning, everybody. It is the morning here in New York. It is also Independence Day in the United States, so I apologize for my casual look today. But nevertheless, really happy to be here. I am the president and a co-founder of ProChain Capital. ProChain is a crypto-focused hedge fund, invests in tokens of all types, both long and short. Also equities, and I think that'll be important for today's conversation, equities of blockchain-related companies. We have a number of listed public companies here in the United States and in Canada. In addition, those involved in electronic payment services as well. And then we have a small portion of our portfolio that is dedicated to small upstart and venture type investments as well in the blockchain space.
Right. Happy Independence Day, David. And good to see you have on the day off as well. Probably you are. So yes, next I have Anuj, who just joined us today, another speaker of the episode today. Hi, Anuj, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good, Sunny. How are you?
Hey, I'm very good, very good. The last time we spoke was on the Asia panel, but I'm here back. So yes, just have a quick round of intro from yourself.
Thank you so much. So yeah, quickly introducing myself. Being a startup founder, started 3 startups in the last decade. At present, I'm working as a founder of Yellow Sapphire Technologies, where we are working with early stage startups all across the world, with angel investors and accelerators in Middle East, Europe, Northern America, and Australia. I'm also an international partner at World Business Angel Forum, where we are promoting global financial inclusivity, entrepreneurship, and basically fintech revolution around the world.
Thank you, Anuj, and welcome back to VCTV. Next, I have Joydeep, who is the founder and CEO of MyVo Technology. And Joydeep is also going to share, he's going to present his project today. Joydeep, let's have a quick round of intro about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from my part. I'm here in Sheffield, in the UK. And so I'm a founder and CEO of the MyVo Technology. And I'm also a Global Entrepreneur Program alumni of the British government as a GEP program in the UK. And today I'm representing one of my incredible team. So today you will not only hear about me, but what my whole team thinks about the project. That's all. Thank you.
So thank you, Joydeep, for that quick intro. So basically, Anuj, David, and Thomas, we're going to hear from Joydeep later in the show. A little bit details about his project. So yeah, let's just start with the session today. Okay, let me just put this. It's about investments in decentralized finance. Decentralized finance, also known as DeFi, uses cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology to manage financial transactions. So what's the aim of DeFi? DeFi aims to democratize finance by replacing legacy and centralized institutions with peer-to-peer relationships that can provide a full spectrum of financial services, from everyday banking, loans, mortgages, to complicated contractual relationships and asset trading. So yes, it's about DeFi today, which works on all blockchain technology, uses cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Oh, my light just went off. Let's just start with Thomas. Thomas, just lights went off. Let's just start with the introductions about the decentralized finance. And obviously, we hear a lot these days about decentralized finance. Let's just start with the definition. What exactly is decentralized finance?
Well, basically, it's peer-to-peer. So normally you go to a bank and you ask them to distribute a certain amount of funds to a different country. Then you need to, first it takes a couple of days for the funds to arrive at the destination, and it costs quite a lot of money. With blockchain technology and peer-to-peer or decentralized finance, we basically skip the middleman. So we send from A to B in 4.4 or 4.7 seconds, and you can actually use the funds that you receive.
Okay, so so why decentralized finance? Just quick addition to that. Why DeFi, decentralized finance, is obviously spoken with blockchain and cryptocurrencies in that context.
That's the distribution. You need to provide trust. When I grew up, I learned that whatever I did in terms of finance, I need to call my bank. Nowadays, you can't find a banker that is not a salesperson who's trying to sell you products. With decentralized finance, it provides trust, transparency, and speed, which is exactly what the world needs.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks for that intro into the world of decentralized finance. Let's hear it from David.
Forgive me. So with respect to DeFi, I think that subcontext or sub-story going on is the ability to really get to decentralization. And it's not that the technology doesn't exist. It certainly does exist. And let me back up for a second. I think that the example given was certainly a very good example in terms of simplicity, right? You want to go ahead, you want to transfer some asset, and you don't want to go through a middleman, right? And the easiest asset I guess we could talk about is probably funds. But let's say you want to transfer some other type of asset that's a little bit more difficult, like a security or a loan. So there it gets a little bit more complex, because probably not every peer that wants to go ahead and get involved in that type of transaction. And if you go ahead and layer upon those assets, financing, debt financing, let's say, and you want that to be decentralized as well, and you want it to be done on a peer-to-peer basis, again, it becomes a little bit more difficult because you're shrinking the peer world in a sense. And what financial institutions currently allow for is effectively to make all peers a part of the process, whether they want to be part of the process or not. So I'm a depositor at my bank, Chase, and frankly, whether I want to lend money or not to some borrower, my funds are being used by the bank to go ahead and lend them to somebody. So it's actually a pretty efficient system. It's not decentralized. It's not peer-to-peer. And it's certainly not as fast as it could be. Now, the speed, I think, is the most important aspect of this right now. And I think the existing financial institutions are very keen on that. They want to use the blockchain to make things as quick as possible. And then maybe the entire tide will turn in their favor and decentralization will not be that important and the system will remain centralized. And that's really, I think, over the next years, we're going to see that tension, and we're going to see if, in fact, decentralization takes over. Now, one last point. I'm sorry, I've spoken a little bit too much already. But to me, the greatest part of decentralized finance, at least from an altruistic and from a productive standpoint, is to bring banking to a whole community of people the world over that do not have financial institutions serving them. To that, I think it's great. I think it's incredible that decentralized finance, and if at the end of the day, the push in DeFi allows those millions upon tens of millions of people to get financing or to get financial services in ways that they don't have right now, that wave may very well sweep the rest of the world over. And to that would be a great thing, because effectively we would result with a fully decentralized finance system. But I think that we're a little bit ways away on that. So I'll stop there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Great points there, David. And thanks for sharing that on the opening remarks. Really great point there. Anuj, I would like to know from you, what are your thoughts about DeFi?
So in the early days of my career, I was part of the team that launched gift cards for American Express in India. We were studying the consumer behavior for prepaid card users in US, Australia, and Canada, and we sort of wanted to bring that entire concept to India. And this is back in 2011, 2012, one of the first times it's been tried in the Indian market. The pilot went amazingly well. When we launched, we had B2B clients signing up, and then they really adapted onto it. But within a year, that push sort of died out. There was public banks trying to bring in their gift cards, but unlike US, where it's really popular, the concept never took over in India. And that's where you understand the situation. That's where you understand that all the major banks, they are trying to somehow copy paste their models from different countries. Oh, if it worked there, probably it can work here. And that approach has gone on for far too long. Like David said, there are a lot of people that are underbanked right now that are unbanked. And a traditional financial institution or a traditional bank does not have an incentive to go after those. They already have the creme de la creme, the top 1% that are using all those services. Why would they want to go after someone at the grassroots who's just trying to build up their career, or who's just trying to build their life for them? And that's where new companies like neobanks or new age startup, which are facilitating cross-border transfers, or DeFi organizations, come into picture. They are finally taking that challenge from the financial institution head on and saying, hey, we understand you're serving some big consumers, but it's time we give back people the power. Let's make sure that we not only serve the top 1% or the top 10%, but the billions out of the 7 billion that we have in the world right now. Let's make sure that we somehow include them in the financial institution, bring that financial inclusivity, so that, of course, we can grow wealth for the world itself, not just for a handful of people, but for everyone.
Yeah, great points there. On that note, I'd like to ask Thomas, so as for you, would like to know how DeFi is revolutionizing financial services. I mean, obviously, everybody sort of touched up on that, but we'd like to know how is it impacting financial services, and what does the future of financial services looks like?
Well, I don't really appreciate the word bank, and I agree with Anju. Is that correct?
Anuj.
Okay.
Close enough, mate. Anuj, you kind of switched the last two alphabets, but Anuj, yeah.
But I mean, if you look at the open banking or new banks, it's basically just it's the bank infrastructure, which is very old school, very slow, and very expensive. I mean, there's a reason why banks, or ordinary banks, just want to have the 1%, because those are actually the one who's making the money. Now, if you look at to convert an ordinary bank into DeFi would be impossible, because there are so many systems that they need to redesign. That's the reason why there's a new space for new types of banks. But it's not only banks. Decentralized finance is sending an invoice, paying a VAT, doing real-time reporting to RRC. There's so many opportunities, especially for smart contracts, that the world hasn't seen so far. It will change the world. I'm very sure. And the definition of bank, as I know it, it will not disappear. We will always need financial advisors. But look at this call. We are people from all over the world who knows bits and bytes of something, and we can gather in one space and share that to the world, which is extraordinary. I just told Sonny, 5 years ago, this system would cost at least $1 million. Now it costs like $100 a month. So it will change the world, I'm sure.
So Thomas, I think we are on a session for the first time, but you kind of echoed my point. The reason why I don't like it when someone says Bitcoin is going to replace everything is because Bitcoin cannot replace the existing currency. Always collaborate, don't compete. The new DeFi organizations, they would have to collaborate with the banks. They need that existing infrastructure. Collaborate, reach out to consumers who have not yet had access to those services, bring them into the system, and voila, you somehow then have a bargaining chip. You somehow have that negotiation power with them, because now you are being backed by 10 million, 100 million users. And then you can go up to a bank and say, hey, your infrastructure is garbage. It's not been upgraded in decades. Keep that infrastructure, but for my consumers, I don't need that legacy technology. I need this security infrastructure to make sure that they are secure.
So it's mainly security you talk about, right?
Just one aspect of it, right? Take their ATM network, for example. I don't know about Europe, but 99% of ATMs in India are still running on Windows XP. The whole notion, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. How long are you going to live on that?
Yeah, well, agreed.
So in banking, what are the sectors, or not even banking, outside of banking, what are the sectors, areas in financial services do you think we have an application? DeFi has an application. David, over to you.
So I believe generally, any form of assets that either need to be transferred or need to be financed. And so that goes back to Thomas's point about, payables and receivables. Anything that people use currently as financial assets, frankly, can benefit from this. Again, I think the easy part is the technical nature of digitization. The question of what happens next, who controls the system? Do existing institutions control the system? Does nobody control the system? That I think is going to be the tug. And Nunuj, I don't disagree with him, right? I think the best of all worlds is, frankly, a world that everybody gets together and is totally, it's a utopia. We all know, though, that, animal instincts are going to try to prevail. And, institutions are going to try to go ahead and make as much money and grab as much market share and make as much proprietary, as they can. That's what they're out there to do, to generate value for their shareholders. And so, to not see fierce competition here, I think is going to be, it's going to be a dream. And then remind you, you're not only pulling in private institutions, you're going to be yanking in sovereigns. And that's where things can start to get really screwy, right? There are a bunch of nations that may very well cooperate on some levels about some things in the world, very big policy issues. And this is a massive one, maybe the most important, potentially. To expect worldwide cooperation on this, I think it's going to require a lot of work. And I don't want to be skeptical about it, but it's certainly going to take a ton of resources and compromise in order to get there.
Okay, great. I just want to know now that we realized so much. I think the DeFi has a lot of benefits when it comes to banking and financial services, like accounts payable and receivables. So, want to know what recent investments have gone into the space, and if any of you have made any investments in DeFi, any DeFi startup. Thomas?
To answer your question, yes. And can I tell you what? No. but I'm in the space. Yes,
It's okay.
That's for let's call it payments.
Fintech, payments. Okay. Generally, what kind of investments do we see in this space?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a plenty of investments going on right now. There are, I mean, the amount of startups in Europe is crazy. And actually, a lot of bankers or former bankers are entering into, let's call it payment services of various kinds. And the investor appetite is also crazy. It's almost concerning because it seems that a lot of people want to invest in the blockchain space or whatever that is, without really knowing what is going on, and there are still some confusion. So Bitcoin is blockchain or blockchain is Bitcoin, and so I think we will see a lot of losses, but there's definitely a lot of growth going on in the DeFi space here for this region.
That's good. Wow, Europe is big. Yes, I have seen quite a lot of projects as well from that region. Thank you so much, Thomas. David would like to know from you what's happening in the US. I mean, if you've seen, are you working with startups? Are you planning to invest in the startups in the space? What are your recent investments, if at all? And generally, what kind of investment appetite do you see in the space?
So our fund, ProChain, is very fundamental or substance-based as opposed to form-based, and that's why we invest across all types of form of investments. So certainly we're invested in tokens that are very much smart contract oriented, and we're also, I'd say, from having been involved in investing in asset management for, I don't know, well over 15 years, I know that the best doesn't always win. Oftentimes it's the biggest that wins. And it's unfortunate to those people that are very, fundamentally minded or academic or, technically minded to see something that is inferior, in fact, prevail in terms of the market standard. But you got to be aware of that. So, although we may hold a ton of Ethereum, we may not very well think that Ethereum is the best platform for a lot of, operations. At the same time, in the United States, in terms of payments, we think that the best risk reward on the payment side is investments in Square and PayPal. I mean, they're way out ahead in terms of size. They have the vision. They have to compete every single day with the likes of really big banks here in the United States. And they're scrappy enough to go ahead and do it. And you can retain liquidity in the investment. You could blow out of your position, in seconds. And we do have, on the private side of our portfolio, we do have, an investment in a worldwide, stock and bond and securities exchange that's being built. But who's to say, and I think it's a great investment, but who's to say that that's going to win that race? There's a lot of people competing for that. And at the end of the day, again, you could have the greatest technology, but if you don't have adoption, it doesn't matter. Someone may come along and pay you for technology, but really, you got to get to critical mass in order for the market to go ahead and recognize the value. And so, we're invested across the space on these ideas is essentially the point. We're involved in earlier stage. We're involved in, I'd say, mid-stage or momentum stuff. And then we're involved in, very late stage opportunities. And, could Square or PayPal go ahead and snap up, a really small player that essentially boosts them into another, to another level? Certainly that's the case. Can you be able to very much pick that one of those institutions are going to pick? Someone's going to be a winner, but there's certainly going to be lots and lots and lots of losers. So you got to kind of have, at least we believe, your bets pretty spread in terms of, making a very good return.
Right. That's good to know that a lot of investments and ProChain Capital is also like investing in different various stages. Thank you so much, David. Anuj, any recent investments in the space or in the pipeline?
We actually have made one already. So just last month, we are working on this organization that's working on basically building a DeFi network for cross-border payments. primarily, I mean, looking at the current system with wire transfer using Swift, the main problem is high fees. You gotta have your bank account. There's this n number of trouble one has to go through, and the alternate for that has, for a long time, been PayPal. So
Yeah.
this organization that we are working with right now, they are working on creating debit cards or prepaid card, whatever you want to call it. I won't really call them debit card because they don't have a bank account, but they have partnered up with an organization where once a foreign transfer has been made, it can be withdrawn directly using that card at an ATM, or they can use it at any merchant location whatsoever. So for freelancers or for families that depend upon foreign remittance from
Yeah.
working members working abroad,
Yeah.
we think this is going to be a game-changing idea.
Absolutely. So they are saving on the remittance fees, fast speed, and what are the other advantages?
So remittance fees, speed, not to mention the fact that you don't have to either go to a Western Union or have a bank account. Number three, you sort of digitize everything, right? So I don't have to carry cash with me. You're bringing them into the digital economy. So yeah, just on top of my head, these are what I can think of.
That's good. That's good. Wow, good to know. So many investments going on in the space of DeFi in both Europe, US, and India. So, okay, we discussed all the benefits that the DeFi, the decentralized finance, has to bring to the table, and how it's going to disrupt the neobanks or the banking as a service. Talking about the downsides also, like the risks and the downsides. So do we have any risks or any downsides of this technology? David? Sorry,
You're,
David.
you're saying security risks?
Or any kind of risk that comes with this DeFi, that decentralized finance that we can talk about.
I think we kind of, or I kind of mentioned, adoption risk. I think there's certainly, that concern. I think there's also the risk that what people vision as decentralized eventually becomes centralized or co-opted by, a few players in the industry. And then lastly, in terms of, I think the one, outlying. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'll take two other risks, which is regulatory and legislative, which certainly, at least in developed economies and certainly in the United States, I'd say the UK as well, but also, other countries that have, very tight controls over businesses like China.
Right.
I think there's certainly concern about that. Exactly what's going to be the policy, how it's going to go ahead and shake out, and whether they're going to allow decentralization. And then lastly, I think there's cybersecurity issues, which we'll have to live with. I mean, everybody knows that. Hopefully, the smarter people in the room are smarter than the hackers or the attackers, and so therefore, they'll be able to guard against it. But certainly that exists as well.
Good point. Cybersecurity risks. Absolutely. Thank you, David. Thomas, would you like to say, add on to what just David said?
I only heard half of it, so it's a little difficult for me to reply. I heard cybersecurity and regulatories. I agree on the first. We need to have a set of rules, because otherwise it will be Banana Republic and everybody can actually basically create their own bank in their small proprietary ecosystem. That doesn't work. We need to have a set of rules, and in terms of China, well, they kicked out Bitcoin. There's a reason for that. They want to be in charge and control of everything. And we definitely don't want money floating around the world without any type of control. So we need that. Security. Well, blockchain is pretty secure if you do it right. The amount of trust and transparency, if you design it right, you would not have major security issues on the chain, off chain, or in the cloud, obviously.
Great. Thank you so much, Thomas. Anuj, would you like to share something before we move to Joydeep?
Sure. So it's very important to understand why a lot of Southeast Asian countries have banned cryptocurrencies. India was the first one that did it back in 2018, and one of the primary reasons why they did it, and I'm kind of glad they did that in India, is because a lot of people still don't understand these technologies. So there are a lot of scammers that are out there that are just trying to con their way through to making a quick buck. Uh, Not to mention the fact that security risk the system poses right now. So it's easy to say that banks have a legacy system that's age over technology. It's a monolith, but we got to understand that it's still secure compared to what a lot of companies are bringing in right now. They're coming up with systems that have n number of vulnerabilities, and they don't have the resources to fix those. So it's important to realize that at an early stage, for any organization, the system will be vulnerable. Whether or not it will actually be attacked, it's something that's onto luck. It's something that's onto the founders, the team that's working behind the scenes. As long as they are doing a good enough job, things should go well. So always make sure you do your due diligence before you put in your money into another person's hand, be it another organization or be it another person who's helping you out with crypto. Make sure you do your due diligence.
Always, it's always like it actually across the board. You know, any sort of investments you make, be it DeFi, crypto, or Bitcoin, NFTs, always make the due diligence. Okay, so who do we have? Okay, cool. Joydeep, over to you now, please, with your presentation. And so, yeah, please introduce yourself again and My Vote technology and what this beautiful tokens are meant to be doing. Yeah.
Is it all right that if you could share the pitch deck with everyone?
Yeah,
Is it all right if
I had the pitch. I mean, I had the pitch. Okay, can you start while I look for the pitch deck? Is that okay?
Of course. Yeah. Hi, I'm Joydeep. I'm a founder of MyVote Technology, and I'm also an alumni of the good entrepreneur program, global entrepreneur program for the UK government. So let me introduce to all of you about what is MyVote Technology. So MyVote Technology is a driver toward digital democracy by providing equal access, secure, trusted, and electoral platform to the community. This is number one. Number two, we have designed our governance model for the community. That means we are redefining the governance of the digital democracy in this 21st century by providing a governance model to them. And the last one, most important, me and my co-founders has worked for the last 10 years to see how collaborative decision making and a collective intelligence can be benefit for decision making for the future of parliament and assemblies and for sustainable policy making for society. So this is what we are trying to do, and we are doing it. And as an entrepreneur, my first and foremost aim to take this incredible technology, blockchain technology, to a community level for an adoption for this technology in a voting and an electoral process. For this, a DeFi, what our previous speakers have explained, a DeFi platform is very, very important because we need to remember tech is an enabler to this system. It doesn't solve all of them. We need to understand how human behaviors works, how human works. And this is where tech kicks in. And this is where our project will help all the communities to have a voice in the governing system. So let me start with our first slide. So in the first slide, yes, this is the whole purpose, what we're doing. We are happy to introduce to you that we are working on SDG 16 here. So it is a global demand from time to time from the United Nations, EU, or the other governance body around the planet. They are talking about a system, a governing system, a trusted and secure electoral process is required for a civic participation, for an election process, and other electoral formats in this society at the moment. So our next slide, page number 2, is going to explain you what are the problems today the international community and the governance bodies are facing. Obviously, the election cost is very high. The global electoral fraud is massive. There are lack of trusted digital voting. There are lots of voting platforms, but where there is a trust, we still have a question. Then the voters' anonymity is very important. Are the voters' votes are anonymous? Whether every community have an equal access to the governing system? Whether the voting system is remoteness? Whether there is a transparent election campaign, which their promises or politician promises to us, they're delivering to us? Most importantly, we are misinformed institution or misinformed constituents at the moment. How to solve this misinformation and give a digestible data for them, for the community, for a policy making. And the very important will be Sunny, can you please slide number 2, the last one, is about the lack of frequency in census, feedback, policies said to the community. And we are always given a binary choices, but technology can help the community to give a non-binary choices. So these are the problem our community facing: misinformation, non-binary choices, and obviously, but these non-binary choices can help us to develop a very formidable policymaking. Now, I would like to move on to my next slide, which is a solution that we came up with. Our solution is a decentralized autonomous organization. This is our solution. So we are developing a product name called RegStack Network, which is a permission-based blockchain network. We are creating a global sandbox, which is full of APIs and SDKs, where a community, organization, corporate, or even your association, football club, they can build their own electoral process for their community, for their electoral system, which they are not dependent on the third party. And secondly, we are developing a community blockchain exchange. So what that means, we will be developing an exchange where community can brand their own community and can launch their own token so that they can populate this token for voting or for any type of community engagement. And next part is our innovation kitchen. We are developing templates, which will be there in our mobile applications. So our templates is a voting templates, which is going to engage the community in a broader emotional way that's never been done before. And last, we will be giving them templates with the decision-making tools, like information sharing, like research tools, like the tools that can inform the community and can raise fund for them. And next, so if you have any question, I'm happy to stop here. Otherwise, I would like to move on to the next part of the features of our RegStack network. Is there any questions?
Not at the moment, mate. Let's take questions at the end.
Okay, thank you. So in this slides, what you will find, what are the features of our RegStack network? So RegStack network will provide permission-based blockchain network to every community. It's not a single chain. It will be every community will have their own network. There will be a voters ID, blockchain ID, which is going to separate the voters' data and the votes. And there will be a smart contract voting wallet. We have always heard about wallet for transaction money. Have you ever thought this technology can help you to transact your vote, which make a much cheaper way? So we are developing a smart contract wallet and a voting tokens for the communities. There will be a distributed ledger technology ballot box. There will be in this ballot box, and that smart contract will give you anonymity of the voters. and Blockchain Explorer for auditability and accountability in the electoral process. And obviously, I explained the templates to engage with the community, brand tokenization. Every token, every community will have their own tokens, and they can populate among themselves, and they can vote. And obviously, the most important, are we as a community member rewarded from our participation or not? This technology will help us to give reward for my vote, reward for my engagement. For an example, if I'm a fan of my favorite club, Bayern Munich, obviously I want my Bayern to give me reward for my participation. And that's the technology will provide to Bayern Munich or Liverpool or let's Manchester United. And data privacy. This is where our technology, blockchain, and obviously where the digital distributed ledger technology kicks in. And transparency of the system is important. These are all the basic features of our XM network. I would like to move on to the next slide, please. This is what our speakers has talked about. That's which is the network, its speed, scalability, and finality. I can promise you, yes, because you can see in the middle, RegStack network, which is an open source project developed from the Hyperledger, right? Hyperledger Fabric network. So our speed is incredible. So it's not like Ethereum public blockchain where you have to pay gas fees and where your speed is very slow. We can conclude, we can finalize every transaction within a second. So millions of votes casted in this network can be done, is possible today. So speed, finality, and scalability of the network for the community, that's where the technology kicks in. I would like to move on to the second slide, please. So how we are advanced, but there's lots of governance projects happening. We are not the only one, of course not. There are lots of governance tokens have been launched, they're trading, but how we are different from them. So we are providing a community a reward program. Hardly any type of governance programs is doing at the moment. We are giving those APIs and SDKs for the community to connect among themselves and use this technology for a better electoral process, for a better decision making. And we are providing a permissionless blockchain network to every community, which is not doing by anyone. And the most importantly, the templates. We are developing all templates which will be deployed in our system, and that template can be used by the community. And I've already explained the brand tokenization program a little bit before, and most importantly, with the cost efficiency. You have seen the huge election cost around the world. Now, in our system, there is no gas fee like Ethereum. So in our system, it's very, very minimum. So your per voting cost, which in UK at the moment is £4 to £5. In our system is 10p. So with this cost-effective system, you can conduct as many as elections, referendum, or even a voting, consensus voting in your policy making, or even if you want to engage your community for a budgeting issues. So there's hundreds of use cases out there, which is I'm going to talk about in the next slide, please. This is what our global market use of RSN. So I have divided into three parts. One is politics, community, society, and corporate. So in politics, it's all about, as we know, it's a election, party election, normal elections, like a policy votings, membership, engagement, and on. And community, like an NGO board elections, membership holding, NGOs, that's policy making and fans voting. And most importantly, corporate, board shareholders, engagement, customers' feedback, exit poll, opinion poll, and all the companies in India or Europe or everywhere, these voting companies can take our sandbox and build their own service out of this and can make a system more formidable, the governing system, and they can build this system on top of our sandbox. Can you move to the second, please? This is the usage. Now I would like to introduce to you our token, that is our currency. So our currency we call My Vote Decision Coin, so which is going to be launched in LATOKEN exchange for our initial exchange offer. So how the vicious cycle of this token works. So first, obviously, if it's a listed token, it will be a listed token in the LATOKEN exchange, where you will be able to, anybody, whether you're an institution or you are an individual, you can able to buy this token to buy a network token, that is a voting token, so which is a stable coin in our system, right? Which has the price never fluctuate. So with this currency, you can buy a RSN platform token. So with the RSN token, number 3, you will launch your polls. You can use the power your polls. Thereafter, number 4, you launch your polls. Number 5, use RSN to reward your community. Number 6, you give a loyalty point. Number 7, redeem it to MDC, and you trade with 3 currency at the moment: Ethereum, Bitcoin, and USDT. I'd like to move on to the next slide. Next one, please. This is how the global competitors of the governance token looks like for us. There are lots of them. I will not go into each of them, but one of them is the first one, the Chills, which is fans voting tokens. For example, recently they have acquired a few of them in the market in India or in the Indian Premier League. So now their Indian fans can vote in their in those clubs like a Kolkata Knight Riders and in the voting matters on the matters that matters to them. So there are lots of governance tokens around the world's working. These are the primary competitors of our tokens in this market at this space at the moment: Chills, Sushi Shop, Dash, Makers, and so on. And next slide, please. Yes, these are we have taken the data from CoinMarketCap, what the governance tokens looks like, and what these governance tokens market size. So one of the important things we have to note: Bitcoin has gone, the price very fluctuating, but the governance token, if you look for the 6 month, price is increasing. So the demand for the governance tokens is much higher, whether it's a new project or it's an old project. So you can see the exponential growth, average growth of all of them, 10 tokens, is around 300 to 500%. There is no decrease from January till there today. So the governance tokens is a future that we are talking about, to give voice to the community, to make the system an incredible system, make a system better for our children. And next one, please. So this is where we are talking about diversify your investment. If we really want to see a decentralized, transparent, accountable governing system, we need to invest on it right now. So for MDC token, which will be going in the LATOKEN, which we are expecting a traffic around 400,000 platform traders are there, 1.5 million visitors per month. This is in the LATOKEN exchange. We are going to do it, and from our experience from last 10 years, we can say that this voting system will be used by 30 million users by 2025, because world is going for a direct democracy, whether it's Europe, America, or even India. This policy, the parties want, people in the policy says. So a direct democracy is inevitable by 2025, and we're expecting 30 million users for this entire project. And the innovation, that's what the investors are going to expect from us, from our templatization program, from our community reward program, and the most important, My Vote global democracy movement. So I will go on with the My Vote democracy movement later on. Just to give you an example, we have a demand in 28 countries at the moment. And if, yes, thank you. And the next slide, please. Yes, so if you are investors in a blockchain, cryptocurrency, currency trade exchange, cybersecurity, esports, entertainment, or social impact, MDC is a coin we are talking about to invest at the moment, because the growth, 178 countries annually, engaging 3.5 billion people annually. So you can understand, to make this democratic process more democratized, MDC coin will be the enabler to the system. So we are hopefully, and we are confident, we have an incredible team who will not only build the system, but adoption, because through our movement for this system. So the demand for this token will increase. And next slide, please. Yeah, these are a little bit of token economics, so which I'm happy to explain if there is a questions, how the tokens looks like. And I know the time is essence to us at the moment, so can we just move on? Next slides. So this will be the usage of how my decision coin will be used. We are putting sell for 40%. We are keeping reserve 20% for our corporate structural legal applications and strategic acquisition 20%. Sales marketing 10%, and for the team who is building is 10%. That's it. And let's move on. So this is something we are trying a disruption through tech. So tech for good. We are saying micro technology is always a tech for good. What is our dream? A tokenized voting to the world, and give the voice to this world, because every voice counts. That is our dream. Our engine, which I described a little bit before, breaks that network, and our fuel to the system is My Vote decision coin, which can be populated around the globe through the many exchange, and LATOKEN is one of them. Please, can we move on, please? So this is our minimum viable product, which we have launched, which is going to start in Australia. We're engaging the MPs in Australia. So they're going to run a policy say in many constituencies in Australia. So our first MVP of the product is coming up in this August 2021, which I will love if you all have if you have any question about it. I'm definitely happy to let you know about our MVP, which is going on, and how many people we're engaging at this moment. And revenue model is very simple. Just a bit. Revenue model. Revenue model is very simple for us. We just take a transaction fee in our network. That's it, just 10p, nothing more than this. But for we take a SaaS license fee for corporate who take this electoral sandbox, or the governments who want to take this electoral sandbox. And for a community token exchange, it is just a settlement charges 10p for us. That's it. Next one, please. Very important. This is what we have done. Our legacy. So My Vote starts with a My Vote movement started by my co-founder Adam Jacoby and Heng Shug, who started this entire movement in 2010. And so we have provided this model of direct democracy and a tech enabler to this. So we were recognized by the Singularity University Challenge in the introduction session. We were grand finalists, and then my co-founder Adam has been Codex for the last 2 times. I was invited the Commonwealth head of the meeting to introduce how this technology can enable democracy, and we have been present in the World Economic Forum, and as part of the entrepreneur program, the British government, we are recognized. And we are supported by, as Hyperledger, Feb Networks is open source. British government is supporting this Department of International Trade. We are the cohort of London partners, and these are like so we have got around 25,000 credit from Microsoft Azure, which might increase to 120,000. And we are the part of the founding network of Tech Nations, and we are the European Economic Commerce, European Technology Commerce. So this is where we are at the moment supported by. And next one will be about our team. And Sunny, can you move on to the next slide, please? So this is where the My Vote movement, worldwide growing interest. They are regularly sending us emails, talking to them for this movement, and this is why we were featured hard on on like a Nasdaq video. I was interviewed a few days ago, Nasdaq, Asian Reviews, Financial Times, and the list goes on from here onwards. So I would like to introduce my team. So what's next? Yes. So these are our team looks like, and obviously, what next? We are offering the pre-sales at the moment, and thereafter we will move on to our initial exchange offer. Let's talk. How can we be together, a part of this movement?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joydeep, for that very, very elaborate presentation, talking about all the details, including tokenomics. So let's just hear of any questions that comes our way. Let's start with Thomas.
Let me just go through my notes here. My first question is, so you talk about your currency. You mentioned currency quite a lot. What's the allocation? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yeah. Now I can hear you.
So you talk a lot about your cryptocurrency. Is the sense? I sense that it was the center of the business, right?
Yeah.
So the revenue stream is 10p based on your upcoming cryptocurrency. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, you're breaking down. I don't know what is the problem. Just breaking down. Okay. Well, he's all right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So what's the allocation?
You mean allocation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a one-time supply token, which is a 10 billion tokens. Out of this, we are using 4 billion tokens for token sales, and rest will be used by acquisition and team and everything. So we are putting 40% to sell. And one-time supply, that is 10 billion.
Okay. And have you made deals with DEX so far, or is it in the making? Because I never understood that you said that we will build. Have you built this, or is this just a presentation?
No, we have already built the system, which is going to be live in this August for the MVP. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Only the voting part. Yeah, it is only the voting part will be live, and later on it will move on.
Okay, but with regards to DEX, have you made any deals with DEX so far?
Not yet.
Okay. Reading notes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the protocol was Hyperledger, right?
The Hyperledger Fabric, yeah.
Yeah, well, so far I couldn't see the presentation that well because it was seems that it was a PDF, so it was very tiny on my screen. But very interesting.
I'm happy to send you across. If you like, I'm happy to send you the presentation if you like.
Okay. I'm a fairly big fan of DAOs. I sincerely believe that that has flavor of the future. I'm not really sure I understood everything that you explained. I know it's limited time, but I like it. I like all initiatives that is based out of blockchain. So, sitting like this.
Great. Thank you so much, Thomas. I'm going to share the deck as well. I mean, Joydeep said that he's going to share, but I can also share the deck with you. Anuj?
So, Joydeep, I mean, I checked your LinkedIn prior to this call, and I see you're from IP University as well. So you're very familiar with the Indian election process. Now, of course, while on paper, I love the idea. It totally makes sense to have election over the internet. But then comes the practical side of things. If you're familiar with Indian election, you know how difficult it gets, and you know how when it comes to election, the mantra is that every vote counts. There are incidents where election officials travel to remote village just so one or two residents there can cast their vote. And that's going to be one of the case in the practical situation as well in real world. The reason why blockchain has never been implemented on national or state level election is very simply because not everyone has access to all these resources. See, it's very easy to comparatively, and I just want to say this, in comparison, it's very easy to send out volunteers to do a census to make sure you register your voters, rather than saying, hey, here's a Bitcoin system, or here's a crypto-based system, and then you have your cryptocurrency here. This is using blockchain to count your vote. In practicalities, the fact at the end of the day remains that most users are not tech savvy. The biggest tech companies in India right now or across the world are companies that are very simple to use. So, of course, while I understand the system is not yet live, I'm very curious to see it in action. I'm very curious to see it in demo. And a brutal feedback. I say this with the best intention in the heart. Please don't take this the wrong way. I don't mean to discourage you. I generally don't see the product being adopted for election purposes, but I do see some application for this. Election is not just something that's done at a federal level or at the state level. Elections are conducted at multiple levels as well. There is RWA election where a society or a group of residents chooses their president. There are industry body that chooses their president. Where you actually have the adoption, it might not be as big of a market where you're targeting 10 million, 100 million, a billion odd users, but it's still a huge market. So my recommendation is, as much as I love the idea, but if you're going to target election in particular to count votes or somehow going it with the government route, I don't think that's the right approach. Maybe you might want to pivot. But of course, once the system is live, once you have your user feedback, I would really appreciate if you can give me an update and then we can then have a discussion on this.
Just like to want to clarify one thing. So at least we are not targeting any government at the moment for any elections. Our main job is community engagement, right? Like a fans engagement, but it's like a society engagement. These are our targeted customers at the moment. There we're going to try the process. So the first
But
phase of the process
that's
is
my
only
point, mate. I'm so sorry I'm cutting you, but that's what my point is. When you say your target is community engagement, you got to realize that community does not share resources equally. So somehow you got to figure out a way to make sure that if you're actually reaching out to a part of the community, you got to make sure you reach to everyone, even people who don't have access to the resources that other people do. So that's going to be one challenge. I really want you to think about it. I hope you have, and I might be wrong here. Like I said, I'm not sharing this feedback with the intent to discourage you. But yeah, really would love to see this in action, mate.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
From my experience, whenever you write a business plan or a presentation, and you have to introduce crazy thoughts from people like me and people around the world who have an interest in this, you will learn that you need to adjust here and there. And I agree that it seems to be a very, very big task that you are on, which I love. But my recommendation would be to chop it down into, let's call it milestones, saying this we want to achieve. As soon as we have achieved 40% of this, this is next step. Do. Because otherwise, I understand, or we here understand what it is, what you're trying to accomplish. But I guess that viewers will be thinking, oh, we want to conquer the world, which of course you do. But I would chop it up in smaller bits and do presentations like that, because that would make it more understandable, and I think that there would be a lot of support for you.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. So just to simplify that, you are taking on a huge task. You're basically saying we want to change consumer behavior in one day with one product, and that's never going to happen. If you want to change consumer behavior, you got to take a small part, make people change that, and then build off of it, and then continue building for a long time. We were not uploading our pictures on the internet before Facebook, before Instagram. Facebook made us upload it through computer. Instagram came in. It allowed us to do it via mobile. And as the technology improved, Facebook went in that direction. And now practically every picture you take, you expect it to be online. So don't expect to change consumer behavior in a single product in one go with just one idea. Hey, we launched a cryptocurrency, we launched a blockchain-based system, and somehow people are going to adopt it. Just have smaller goals for yourself that can actually be achieved.
And work with your community. Ask your community. They will guide you.
Absolutely.
They're the customers.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I 100% agree with you on this. This is a way, I mean, we should process. I mean, we should ask the community before doing anything. So that's why at the moment we are working on. That's why I said we are working on for ages. But that's Anuj said that's it's not easy to change community behavior, right? We are working on that. That's what space we are working at the moment, and we are the learners. That I can say we are learning from every action, from every interview, from everything. And I will take this a very positive feedback. That's nothing negative. So I will take it as a positive note. So that's where we learn and we grow together.
Great. Thank you so much, Anuj and Thomas, for your feedback about the project. And Jyoti, thank you so much for taking it on a positive note. I mean, that's how you learn and grow, for sure. Yes.
Yes, I mean, that's of course. That's how we should do.
Yes. So on that note, let's take some closing remarks. Thomas, over to you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying. So could you repeat?
Okay, let's take some. Let's take some closing remarks before we wrap up the show.
Well, I'm still, I'm still in my boat space here. So, whatever you do, and that goes for everyone, follow your dreams and just continue writing and try to chop it up so make it understandable, because then you will eventually become successful. That's my closing.
Thank you. Thank you. Great closing, Thomas. Anuj?
So just a final thought. Like I said, and my one mantra that I like to repeat every time: collaborate, don't compete. Any blockchain or crypto enthusiast out there that constantly tells people that, hey, this thing is going to change the world, it's going to replace everything. Be realistic, guys. Try to take realistic goals. Collaborate with the existing institution. Make sure you reach out to people that actually need you, and make sure you find a real world problem that you're actually solving. When you do, that's when you're going to change the world. So good luck to everyone out there.
Thank you. Jody, your closing thoughts?
Oh. So closing thoughts will be definitely, I had a wonderful session. I've learned a lot, learned from your feedback. And I'm hopefully that this is not the first time we're meeting. We will meet again. And I'm going to, what you have asked me, and I'm going to provide the better way next time. And so that project become viable to every one of us. So I'm going to work hard on this, and my team is going to work hard on this. We are going to give the best projects which require. That's all.
Great. Thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, Thomas, Anuj, and Jaideep for being here. So really appreciate. So viewers of VCTV, my apologies. Viewers of VCTV I'll be back again on another episode of VCTV soon. So please keep watching VCTV, keep supporting VCTV. And yes, just want to say take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.